This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, now we'll begin with the next class of antibiotics, and that is tetracyclines, which are also obtained from the Streptomyces species. And if you see the structure of a typical tetracycline, you see four rings which are fused with each other. And this particular structure of the tetracycline antibiotic, the name of this structure is octahydronaphthalene ring system. Okay, these are four annulated six-membered ring systems which are fused with each other, and they are called, the name is octahydronaphthalene ring system. Please note down this name. This could be one of the options, or a question for MCQ. Okay, now depending on the duration of action, tetracyclines can be classified as short acting, intermediate acting, and long acting tetracyclines. This is based on the duration of action that they are giving. If you see the mechanism of action of the tetracycline antibiotics, yesterday in aminoglycoside antibiotics, I mentioned about the 30S ribosomal subunit and the 50S ribosomal subunit. So this 30S ribosomal subunit or the 50S ribosomal subunit is responsible for helping in formation of the mRNA and then protein synthesis. And I told you, it is this protein synthesis that happens of the microorganisms which spreads the infection throughout the body. What you see in septicemia, or what you call in pus, is all the byproduct of the metabolism of the microorganism which has caused the infection, along with the dead cells which are there. So when that pus is collected, it is a combination of these dead cells at the site of the infection, plus there is this metabolites that the microorganism has formed or has synthesized. So these proteins also are a part of that pus. Okay, and as the pus grows, it spreads, and what we call it in a larger term, it is called as septicemia. So this 30S ribosomal subunit or the 50S ribosomal subunit, you can see it on your structure. It is the this is how it looks, and it plays a major role in the multiplication, or in the formation of the mRNA and the proteins from the mRNA. So if you destroy this 30S ribosomal subunit or the 50S ribosomal subunit, which is present in rRNA, I'm calling it as the rRNA, ribosomal rRNA. Okay, so when it is present in that, and you happen to destroy any one of these or both of these, you are not going to allow the formation of mRNA and further the formation of protein synthesis. So we saw in the aminoglycoside antibiotics also that they are 30S ribosomal subunit inhibitors. They bind to this 30S ribosomal subunit. Similarly, tetracyclines also are specific binders or inhibitors of protein synthesis. And how do they do it? Is they do it by binding to the 30S ribosomal subunit. Okay, so both aminoglycosides as well as tetracyclines have the same type of mechanism of action. We now move on to the SAR of these tetracyclines. This class of antibiotics has a very elaborate SAR. If you see over here, you see that there are four rings which are fused, and I told you the name of this ring is octahydronaphthalene ring system. Okay, naphthalene is a typical structure. You all know the structure of naphthalene, and plus there is one more extra ring also now joined to it. So this is an octahydro naphthalene ring system, and you can see the name of it. It is 6-methyl 4-dimethyl amino 3, 6, 10, 12 12A pentahydroxy, 1,4,4A, 5,5A, 6,11,12A octahydro 2-naphthacene carboxamide. Okay, so these numbers which you see are of the places where there is either substitution. Okay, like for example, there is substitution at the first carbon, there is substitution at the fourth carbon. Okay, or they are the places where the fusion of the rings has happened. Okay, so this is the IUPAC nomenclature of this tetracycline ring system. You could simultaneously take down this ring system, and further, when you are going or revising through this class, you can note down the SAR features of this ring system. Okay, so what is required for the tetracyclines to show activity? So what is mainly required is this octahydro or naphthalene ring system. It should have 4 rings, 6-membered rings fused with each other. You cannot have only 3 rings or only 2 rings. You are not going to get any antibiotic activity. So all derivatives should contain 4 rings. If there are less than 4 rings, then the compound is inactive in nature. Okay. The next requirement for the tetracycline to show activity is, pay attention, there should be substitution of a hydrophilic group. Where should this substitution be? It should be at the first position, second, third, fourth, 10th, 11, 11A and 12. I repeat, there should be substitution of a hydrophilic group, or the group substituted should have a hydrophilic character. And where should this substitution happen? It should happen at positions 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 11, 11A and 12. Okay. The next requirement is you should not replace the amide at carbon 2. Okay, you see a CONH2 group over here. This is an amide group, and if you replace this amide group with an aldehyde group, you will destroy the activity. You could replace it with a nitrile group also. So substitution or replacement of the amide group at the carbon 2 or C2 with an aldehyde group or a nitrile group abolishes its activity. Okay, then the next point is that you could modify the ring A to a slight extent so that the activity is not lost. Now when you have numbered this tetracycline structure, this ring which you see is ring A. Okay, so this is ring A, B, C and D. So when you are naming it, here it is not named, but when you have drawn it now, you name it as ring A, B, C, D. So you could play a little with this ring A, where you could have slight modification done so that the activity is not lost. Okay, next point is aromatization of ring C. This is ring C. Okay, the third ring from right hand side. This ring C, if it undergoes aromatization, and it will give hydroxy tetracycline. So if you get a hydroxy tetracycline, this hydroxy tetracycline is going to be less active than the actual mother compound tetracycline. The next point is modification at carbon number 1 and carbon number 6, that is C1 and C6. Modification over here will give you a compound which is more chemically stable and has better pharmacokinetic properties, along with increased antibiotic activity. I repeat, modification, if any, could be done at carbon number 1 or carbon number 6, so that you get a more stable, chemically stable compound which has favorable pharmacokinetic properties and increased antibiotic activity. Okay, the next is dehydrogenation to form a double bond between C5A and C11A decreases activity. Okay, so addition of a double bond or dehydrogenation to get a double bond between carbon C5A and C11A, it will give you a decreased active or a compound which has decreased activity. The next is substitution of polar groups at C5 and C6 positions decreases water solubility. It also decreases antibiotic activity. Now it is mandatory that you maintain asymmetric carbon atoms at carbon C4 and Ca and at C12A. Okay, so if you want to retain the antibiotic activity, then you need to maintain an asymmetric configuration of carbon C4, C4A and C12A. However, you can change the configuration at carbon 5, carbon 5A and carbon 6. Okay, so to retain the antibiotic activity, maintain the asymmetric configuration of C4, C4A and C12A, and you can change the configuration of C5, C5A and carbon number 6. The next is amide hydrogen can be replaced with a methyl group and groups larger than that, but this does not give a favorable activity. Okay, so maintain that amide hydrogen which you have. If you replace it with a larger group than methyl, you can have methyl, but if you have a larger group, then it is not going to give you a favorable compound or a compound with good activity. Similarly, dimethylamino group can be replaced with an primary amine, and if you replace it with a primary amine, the activity is retained. The next point is monoalkylation of amide group causes loss of activity. So we discussed this before also. The alkylation of this amide group should not happen, and if it happens, then there is loss of activity. Now we come to carbon number 7. Okay, you could replace at carbon number 7 a electron withdrawing group or a electron donating group. You could replace it with an electron withdrawing group like chloride or an electron donating group like methyl at C7, and you could increase the activity of the tetracycline mother compound. Next is epimerization at carbon 5 decreases the activity of tetracycline. Similarly, alkyl substitution at C11A is going to give you inactive compounds. The next point in SAR is alkyl substitute. Yeah, we finished this. C11A we have finished. The last point is that positions which are at the bottom of the molecule, that is 10, 11, 12 and 1, um, they are the regions where substitution is tolerated. You can have substitution over there. Okay, whereas having too much of or a bulky substitution at carbon 2, 3 and 4 is not tolerated. Usually there will be loss of activity. So what you see over here now at carbon 2, 3 and 4, like you see a hydroxyl group or you see an amide group, this should be maintained. If this is not maintained, then there is going to be loss of activity. So the SAR of tetracyclines is really very elaborate. It is very long. There are around 15, 16 points to it. Okay, and since there are 15-16 points to it, go through the didactic lecture carefully, note down each and every SAR point of this tetracycline. This is a sure shot question in the examination. Okay. So the examples that we can see in this class of tetracyclines is the doxycycline, chlortetracycline, oxytetracycline. And if you are aware of the combined treatment that is going on of COVID-19, along with if you have mild to moderate infection, along with an fluoroquinolone, or along with any other antibiotic, like maybe ivermectin also. Doxycycline is a very common, which is a very commonly used antibiotic. It is being used very uh, commonly. It is a combination or treatment of azithromycin, which is again an antibiotic, plus doxycycline, along with maybe a fluoroquinolone or ivermectin. So this is the combination treatment that is given for mild to moderate infection of COVID-19. Later, however, it depends. If the infection has increased, you need to go to higher end antibiotics. Okay. And in fact, these drugs are not to be sold or not to be obtained without prescription. Now, the mechanism of action, I have already told you that it is binding to the 30S ribosomal subunit and preventing the formation or binding of the tRNA to the mRNA, and then further preventing the formation of protein synthesis. Now, these drugs, chlortetracycline, oxytetracycline, or doxycycline, they have a broad spectrum of activity. They are used in treatment of cholera. They are used in treatment of E. coli infections, soft tissue and skin infections. They are used as an adjuvant treatment in malaria. Like you are using an anti-malarial drug, and as a supplement to give a synergistic action, tetracyclines are also added. It is used in respiratory tract infections also. Okay, so these are some of the examples of tetracyclines. Now there is something that you all should note down. I hope you all have noted down this structure of tetracyclines. We have finished the SAR. You could go through the class and note down the SAR points. Something that I want you to note down now is about the stereochemistry of tetracyclines. Okay, so note down this structure, and you will be writing the same for SAR as well as for the stereochemistry part. Okay, we have also noted the stereochemistry part of penicillins. So take down. Tetracyclines have a complex stereochemistry. Carbon atoms at position 4, 4a, 5, 5a, 6a, and 12a. Are all chiral carbon atoms. Are all chiral carbon atoms. Next, Drugs like oxytetracycline and doxycycline. Drugs like oxytetracycline and doxycycline possess 5-hydroxy substituent. Therefore, they have 6 chiral carbon atoms. Therefore, they have 6 chiral carbon atoms. While the other examples of tetracyclines have only 5 chiral carbon atoms. So doxycycline and oxytetracycline have 6 chiral carbon atoms, while the other examples have only 5 chiral carbon atoms. Now, nobody asked me, or probably you all planned to ask me later. I mentioned 4A, I mentioned 5A, I mentioned 11A, but nobody asked me where is it. So probably you all know, or you all didn't want to know, or you all were going to ask me later. Any which ways, I'll only tell it to you. Where you see the rings are fused with each other. Okay, these are the places where the numbering of A comes. Okay, so this is 4A, this is 5A. Okay, so this is how the numbering happens. This is 11A, this is 12A. So XA, X means the number, the numerical number 1, 4, 5, 6. You can have only these, or you can have 10, 11, 12. You can have 10A, 11A, 12A. You can have 4A, 5A, 6A. Okay, so this numbering comes at the places where the fusion or fixing of the rings to each other has happened. Okay, so note down, the carbon that joins the rings are not numbered. The carbon that joins the rings are not numbered, and they are referred to as XA, capital X, and in the suffix right A. Okay, so this is all about the tetracyclines. We have written about the stereochemistry of tetracyclines. We have seen the numbering of the ring. We have seen the name of that ring which has 4 carbon atoms fused with each other. Okay, we have seen the SAR, and we have seen the mechanism of action also of these tetracyclines. Now we move on to the next class of antibiotics, and that is macrolide antibiotics, and they are actually natural products, that they are naturally obtained substances. And the first drug that was discovered from this class, the name is picromycin. That was the first um, macrolide antibiotic which was obtained, and the name is picromycin, and it was obtained, or it was isolated again from the streptomyces species. So we are seeing that right from the penicillin antibiotics, the first drug that was obtained, everything is a metabolic product of the microorganisms, and they have a typical name, and that typical name is the polyketide class. So these natural products belong to the polyketide class of natural products, and they have a large lactone ring which can have around 14, 15, or even sometimes 16 carbon atoms. And this large lactone ring is joined, or is fixed to a deoxy sugar molecule. Okay, so this is the history of macrolide antibiotics discovery, beginning with first with picromycin and then followed by erythromycin. Then there is acetylpyramycin, medicamycin and josamycin, and then is in the early 80s which were discovered is roxithromycin, azithromycin and clarithromycin. I just told you azithromycin is also one of the drugs that is used for its synergistic effect along with ivermectin and with doxycycline for the prophylactic treatment of COVID-19. So these these macrolide antibiotics which are obtained from the Streptomyces erythris, they are naturally acting, and these are some of the examples of the macrolide antibiotics. Very simple structures. Okay, and you need to know these structures, you need to write down these structures in the exam. Erythromycin and azithromycin are very commonly used drugs, especially when there is throat infection, or even sometimes skin infection. Erythromycin, azithromycin are commonly used antibiotic agents. Soft tissue infection of the skin, erythromycin is always comes in handy in the treatment of those type of infections. Okay, so there are not many SAR points for this class of macrolide antibiotics. We will note them. We will note them down. A few of them. When you are going through the class on the video, you can note down the structures of all these different all these different examples of macrolide antibiotics. Meanwhile, note down the SAR of macrolide antibiotics. So basically, these macrolide antibiotics are weak bases, and they need to have three main characters so that you can have good antibiotic property. Now, what are the three main characters? The first one is a ketone group should be present. Okay, the one major requirement for these macrolide antibiotics is that one ketone group should be present. Okay, the next is a highly substituted macrocyclic lactone ring is essential for activity. I repeat, a highly substituted macrocyclic lactone ring is essential for activity. And this is what is called as the aglycone part. Okay, you know now we have written previously there is a sugar part and there is a non-sugar part. So there is a glucone and a glucone or a non-glucone part of the macrolide antibiotic, and this glucone part which is there of these macrolide antibiotics, they should be highly substituted macrocyclic lactone ring structures. And the third and the last point in the SAR for macrolide antibiotics is that the deoxy sugar is glycosidically attached to the glycone ring. So through a glycosidic linkage, you can see over here, this is the glycosidic linkage. This is the glycone part. Okay, and this is the sugar part or the glycone part. And this glycone part is attached to the glycone part through a glycosidic linkage. Now, usually this lactone ring, this is what we call as a lactone ring, and it usually has around 12, 14 or 16 unsaturated atoms which are joined or which are there in conjugation with each other. Okay, so these are the examples of macrolide antibiotics: erythromycin, clarithromycin and azithromycin. If you see the mechanism of action of these examples which you are seeing on the screen, clarithromycin is a specifically binder to the 23S rRNA subunit. Okay, now this 23S rRNA subunit is present where? It is present in the 50S ribosomal subunit. So the overall mechanism of action of macrolide antibiotics is that it is a 50S ribosomal subunit inhibitor. We saw in the previous class, okay, of tetracyclines. I showed you in the picture there is a 30S ribosomal subunit and there is a 50S ribosomal subunit, and the aminoglycosides as well as tetracyclines bind here, they inhibit the action here. Okay, but these macrolide antibiotics bind to the 50S portion. Now here I am specifically telling you that in the case of clarithromycin, this clarithromycin antibiotic binds to the 23S rRNA, which now 50 ribosomal subunits means there are 50 in number. Now which ribosomal subunit? The 23S ribosomal subunit. Clarithromycin binds to it and it inhibits the action of the 50S ribosomal subunit, because of which a complex structure is formed and the process of translation, that is the process of protein formation, is hindered, or it is held up, or it is inhibited. Okay. Now for azithromycin, or even for that matter erythromycin, the mechanism of action remains same. It is binding to the 50S ribosomal portion of 50S ribosomal subunit, and it is inhibiting the peptide chain formation, it is inhibiting the translation process, it is inhibiting the protein formation, and overall it is arresting the growth of the microorganisms. Thus it is showing bacteriostatic activity. Okay, so this was all about the macrolide antibiotics, from where they were obtained, the timeline of macrolide antibiotics, the few examples of macrolide antibiotics, their mechanism of action, as well as the SAR of macrolide antibiotics. Okay, so the major classes that are there in antibiotics, we have been able to cover them, we have been able to finish them. If you see this structure, there is a much better or in-depth insight into the 30S and 50S ribosomal subunit. Okay, and from this 50S, the erythromycin or clarithromycin is binding to the 23S ribosomal subunit. Okay, so this is how the ribosomal unit looks, divided into two parts: 30S ribosomal unit and 50S ribosomal subunit. We now come to the miscellaneous antibiotics, that is chloramphenicol and clindamycin. This is the structure of chloramphenicol. This is how the chloramphenicol structure looks. Again, you see the structure of the 50S and 30S ribosomal subunit. Chloramphenicol is binding to the 50S ribosomal subunit and inhibiting the process of protein synthesis, or stopping the process of protein synthesis. Okay, so this is the structure of chloramphenicol. You can note down the structure of chloramphenicol. Now this chloramphenicol was obtained or isolated from Streptomyces venezuelae, and this drug chloramphenicol has a broad spectrum of activity. You can note down the structure of chloramphenicol. Both the structures are of chloramphenicol only. Preferably note this down, it is easier to remember, the one below. Okay, so there are some SAR points which are also there for this miscellaneous drug of chloramphenicol. You could note down the SAR points. Number one is paranitrobenzene ring system with an amide bond and alcohol group essential for activity. Okay, so you see that there is a paranitrobenzene ring, there is a alcohol group, there is also a amide group, and the amide group is joining the alcoholic group as well as the um, paranitrobenzene ring system. And in the case of chloramphenicol, 4 enantiomers are possible. 2 are DL threoisomers and 2 are DL erythroisomers, and out of these 4 isomers only the threo enantiomer shows good antibiotic activity. So you could have a question in the exam to identify which of the 4 isomers or name the isomer which shows good antibiotic activity. So it is the D3O enantiomer which is showing good antibiotic activity. And which are the possible enantiomers? The threoisomers and the erythroisomers. 4 erythroisomers and 4 threoisomers. And we have already discussed about the mechanism of action. They are 50S ribosomal subunit binding compounds, and they inhibit the protein synthesis by binding to this. Okay. So this is about chloramphenicol. The SAR is also easy discussed. The mechanism of action is also discussed. Okay. So with this, we complete the topic of antibiotics. What you need to only do now on your own is the drug clindamycin. Okay, do the structure of clindamycin. It is very similar to lincomycin. Lincomycin is a class of antibiotics actually. So in the class of lincomycin, we have the example of clindamycin. Now this is also a semi-synthetic antibiotic, and like I told you, it is a lincomycin derivative obtained from Streptomyces lincolnensis. Okay, so this species or this antibiotic, this microorganism species, Streptomyces lincolnensis, has given the drug clindamycin or the series of lincomycin derivatives, and they have a wide spectrum of activity. They are used for different purposes, like they are used in the treatment of ear infections or pelvic inflammatory disease, bone infection, joint infection, and they are used in combination with quinine alkaloids in the treatment of malaria, and they have the same mechanism of action of chloramphenicol. That is, like chloramphenicol, they also bind to the 50S ribosomal subunit, thereby preventing the process of protein synthesis. Okay, so if you check the syllabus, we have completed the topic of antibiotics. All the examples also have been done.